Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. This is Abdul Nasir Jangda from Qalam Institute, coming to you with another session of the Qalam Hangout. 30 days, 30 questions about the month of Ramadan. So the question that I got, and this is the topic of conversation in a lot of communities this year and probably for the next couple of years, and that is where I live, the fasts are way too long. I was talking to a couple of students that I have in Seattle, and they were telling me about 18, 19-hour long fasts during the month of Ramadan this year. So what do we do? And a lot of folks are also asking that is it possible to pick the nearest location where they have a more, moderate time frame for fasting, 15 hours, 16 hours, and basically base our fasts off of their timings. Is that okay or not? So there's all these questions and this whole conversation going on. So what's exactly the issue? So I did a lot of reading and research on this issue, and what I found, and I'll be very honest and upfront about this, I did end up looking up a lot of the, older fatwa, classical fatwa, and even in our times, the fatwas and the rulings given by many of our senior scholars and researchers and experts when it comes to fiqh, and I read their discussions and their arguments, and I also felt compelled that basically the answer in this situation, as honestly as possible, is that the rulings and the Quran and the Hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, the Quran and the Sunnah, the Quran and the sayings of the Prophet ﷺ when it comes to fasting and the beginning time of fasting and the ending time of fasting are so explicit and so clear that it really doesn't leave any room for discussion. That the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ is very clear that fasting begins with Al-Fajr al-Thani, the break of dawn, all the way till the setting of the sun. And that is very extremely explicitly stated. So therefore, and this is going to sound a little difficult, but I'm going to provide a little bit of an explanation. Therefore, even if that day ends up being like 20 hours long, as long as there is a distinguishable break of dawn and a distinguishable setting of the sun, that will still be the beginning time of the fast and the end time of the fast. Now I understand that's extremely difficult, but now here's the second part of that answer. That at the same time, severe hunger to the point of where it could cause physical harm to a person, and illness, and even the threat of serious illness and health concerns and health issues is a valid reason, is a valid excuse for not fasting. So in these types of locations where fasts end up being 19, 20 hours long, it will still be mandatory to fast from the break of dawn till the setting of the sun. However, even if there be a significant part of the population that, whether we're talking about elderly people or people with some health concerns who normally would have been able to fast a 15-hour day, a 16-hour day, but it's very difficult for them to fast a 20-hour day, then it will be permissible and okay for those people to try their best to fast. But if they're not able to fast, then it's okay for them to not fast during the month of Ramadan. That concession is provided for them, again, through the Quran, through the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, and then they are permitted, they are allowed to make up those fasts of Ramadan afterwards, when the day will not be as long and it will be a little bit more practical for them to be for them to be able to fast. And so that's the basic ruling on it. So I realize that that's a little difficult, but also understand that there are some places, there do come times when our hands are restricted and tied by what Allah and His Messenger ﷺ have said, and this is one of those types of situations. The second thing that also needs to be kept in mind about these types of locations is that eventually when the calendar kind of cycles through and Ramadan is during the months of February, January, December, November, a lot of people in these types of places that maybe right now have to fast 19, 20 hours, they might be fasting like 10 hours a day. So it works kind of both ways. So inshallah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give you many Ramadans. And so you might have a couple of difficult Ramadans, a bunch of moderate Ramadans, and then you'll have a couple of super awesome Ramadans. So just something to keep in mind. But the second part of this answer is that if there is a place where during the summertime the days and the nights become so distorted that sometimes entire 24 hours can go by without a complete, cycle in terms of the sun rising and the sun setting and all of that, near the near the North Pole and the South Pole, and in extreme places like that, extreme latitudes where they don't even experience the full cycle of the day. For those people, they will pick the nearest location where there is an actual full cycling of the day, and they will basically fast based off of their timings. So there is that type of a ruling and a concession, but that is specifically for those people where they don't even have the break of dawn and the setting of the sun because of the extreme latitudes that they live in. So that's the basic gist of the answer. So the answer, to summarize again here at the end, that even if the fast is extremely long, you still have to go ahead and fast the entire day. If it's too difficult for somebody, don't worry, Islam does not obligate you beyond your capacity. You can make up those days later on. If somebody lives in a place where there is no break of dawn and setting of the sun right now due to summertime, then they can pick the nearest location where that does occur, and they can fast based off of their timings. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept Ramadan from all of us. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it a very productive Ramadan. Until next time, Jazakumullah khairan. Remember to send in your questions. You can tweet them, Facebook them, leave them in the comment section of this video, or you can email them to us. Just remember to tag your questions with #Qalam Hangout. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. I'll see y'all next time.